Welcome to 5 a Day with Jay. I am J.R. Murdoch. Hey. I didn't know where to go with today, but I think I know now. I watched a short documentary, I'll link to it in the show notes, about Fatty Arbuckle, Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle. And I'll talk about him another time, but the documentary was absolutely fascinating. But it led me down a rabbit hole, and I wound up watching a similar documentary about Gene Wilder. For many people, their first experience with Gene Wilder was watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Not for me. I fell asleep during the movie before Gene Wilder even showed up. The whole Cheer Up Charlie song just knocked me out. My first experience with Gene Wilder was actually as Frankenstein, a young Frankenstein. Loved that movie. It kind of blended with my sense of, it developed my sense of humor was watching Gene Wilder, and I never really understood why. And I believe I know now, after watching that documentary and watching The Producers. I've never watched The Producers before. Gene Wilder was always very extreme and over the top, but in The Producers, he's extremely subtle, and I realized in Young Frankenstein, he had some rather subtle moments as well. I believe the way my humor developed was I love putting people in ridiculous situations and having them react normally as if it's a completely normal situation. To me, I find that hysterical. Maybe others do as well. I don't know. I get so little feedback on my work. I don't try and be overtly humorous in my writing. I might be snarky and sarcastic in a conversation. I can smack talk when I'm playing a game of poker. I have fun with banter when it comes to just a regular discussion. When it comes to my writing, and even in the Murdoch Minute, I'm trying to be subtle with my humor, but I think perhaps I'm being too subtle with the videos, which is why I'm on a hiatus while I'm rethinking everything. Yeah, I think that's what's going on there. But watching The Producers, Gene Wilder's character is so reactive to a situation that's completely ridiculous, and he just accepts it as if that's the way it's supposed to be, and the situation makes no sense whatsoever. I love it. I'm If you've never seen the movie, by gosh, it's a slow boil, and I love a slow boil of a movie. But once it gets rolling, it's absolutely hysterical. It's a Mel Brooks movie. Zero Mostel is one of the main actors. He was also in a Mel Brooks movie called Something Happened on the Way to the Forum. Another great movie that I've seen. Buster Keaton is in that movie. I didn't even realize that was him. Buster Keaton is someone I'll talk about in the coming days. Probably not tomorrow, probably not Christmas Day. But in the coming days, I'll talk about Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, and the like. Fatty Arbuckle, Laurel and Hardy. These are all things I grew up with as a kid. And it's just odd to have that epiphany of where does my subtle humor of putting normal people in ridiculous situations and having them react as if that situation is normal come from? It's kind of hit me. It's like, wow, yeah, that's exactly where it comes from. It comes from Gene Wilder. It comes from Mel Brooks. It comes from that type and that era of comedy. I don't see it so much anymore with modern comedies where they're more overt about the jokes that are told. So they just come flat out and just boom, it's absolutely hysterical situation. And even back in watching some silent comedy from way back in the day, it was more about the slapstick than it really was about the situation. But when it came to humor from the 60s and 70s, it was more about a ridiculous situation, and how would they react to that situation? And it's weird. It's weird to realize that after all these years, as to where did my sense of humor develop from. One individual I will talk about another time as well. His name is Mark Evanier. I never realized how much of an influence he had on my sense of humor as well. And I'll cover him. I'll do a whole series on stuff that he did. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to reflect and to watch a movie and just realize, wow, yeah, that's what I've been doing all this time. So we'll see. Anyway, quick one tonight. We'll talk tomorrow.